Immorality, anti-Semitism, and replacement theology are eroding the foundations of biblical Christianity. Hoyevel presents the Heartland Connection, where Christians are equipped to walk out the truth in God's Word and to support the land and people of Israel.
Shalom and welcome to the Heartland Connection. We're here in the heartland of Israel studying the weekly Torah portion, and we have Rabbi Yonadav Zar, Orthodox Jewish rabbi, who's joining to teach us from this week's Torah portion. Thank you, Rabbi Yonadav Zar.
Shalom, Zach.
Okay, so this week's Torah portion is Parashat Behar, which means on the mountain. Speaking of Mount Sinai, here in the first part of the portion, and we're in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 1. We have a really very interesting Torah portion. Every week it's interesting, but I particularly enjoy studying this. We're talking about the sabbatical year and the jubilee year, the Shmita and the Yovel, and it's really, really fascinating things here, so I'm really looking forward to today's study. And our first question here is, what exactly is the Shmita, and why is it important?
Okay. We read about the Shmita here, and the verses tell us that every 6 years or every 7 years, we have to work just the first 6 years, and the seventh year, we have to leave the fields. Mm-hmm. Not to work, not to collect the fruits, mm-hmm. Leave them to anyone who will eat them. Man or animal, Jewish or non-Jewish, everyone can enter and collect fruits and eat them, and we have to leave them. To leave them. We can eat also, but not as the owner, but as anyone. Mm-hmm. And it's like to say, we know that we are here in kind of God. It's not our land, and we don't decide when to work and when to stop. God allow us to work 6 years and command us to leave the land, to not work at the 7th year. And of course, if in earlier periods and generations, maybe 98% of the economy were the agriculture. Mm-hmm. So it was almost anyone has 1 year of freedom, of vacation. Mm-hmm. And all the 6 years we have to collect the food for the 7th year, and it's like Shabbat. It's like Shabbat. We work 6 days, and on Shabbat we take break of our work and think about our life and learn Torah and try to find where we missed the way of God. And to focus again on our vision, our role. Like that, in the years. We have 6 years we have to work. It's good to work. It's not good to say, oh, if God commanded to leave the field 1 year, so I will be righteous and I will leave my field all the years. No, that's bad. We have to work. We have to let the fruits grow and bring more and more wealth to the world. But at the 7th year, we have to think about our vision, to to learn Torah. Today, we have no such situation. Not almost all the people work at agriculture.
Right.
So we can try to adopt this idea to find a way to put aside money every year, and on the 7th year to try to learn more, to devote the 7th year to spirit learning, to thinking thoughts about our vision, our role, to how to make the world better place.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting because I know for me, just reading through it, it can be a little bit confusing because it says here in verse 3, 6 years you can sow your field, 6 years you may prune your vineyard and gather its crop, but the 7th year shall be a complete rest for the land, a Sabbath for Hashem. Your field you shall not sow, and your vineyard you shall not prune. The aftergrowth of your harvest you shall not reap, and the grapes you had set aside for yourself you shall not pick. So right there it sounds like you're not touching it all. Nobody's picking, nobody's doing anything. But then it says in verse 6, the Sabbath produce of the land shall be yours to eat. So I think originally I thought, okay, there can't be any kind of harvest at all. But then obviously if you're going to eat it, there has to be some sort of picking the fruit. And so I think that kind of clarified when you said that basically it's for the poor and for anybody to eat. So if you own the vineyard, you have to let go of your ownership, and whoever wants to can come and eat of the fruit. So is that basically the full answer there? Or is there anything else to that you would add?
Of course, it's very, very difficult to obey this command.
Right.
Because it's not only that at the 7th day we are not working, but a whole year not work for one who work at agriculture. And it's very, very difficult test. And today, this law, we can we commended only when the most of the people, the Jewish people, is in the land and settle according to the tribes.
Okay, and is that based on the first verse here that says in verse 2, actually, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that
That's
I give
right.
you. Okay, so that's based off of that when you have more than half of the Jewish people here, that's when you have fulfilled the first part and you can then do
it's
the
not
second
only more of the half, because we will come to the land. So, and if let's say 1,000 people are missing here, okay, it's all the people. And 2,000, okay, it's still all the people. But if it's even not the majority, so it's not called that the people is in the land. And also settled according to the tribes. Each tribe in his heritage. And not only the 15 million of Jews that are recognized today at the world, because it's all the Jews. So maybe if we will check 1 or 2 or 3 generations ago, that we can check it according to records, we will find maybe 30 millions. So it's the most of 30 millions. And if we will find more than that, like Jews that lost to the Jewish people because of the Inquisition or assimilation. If we can find that there are Jews that we can search and recognize them, so they are in the
count.
In the count, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we have a way to arrive to obey this law according to the Torah. But the wise men taught us to keep this law even when the minority of the people is in the land. It's not the same level of the Torah, the written Torah, but it's a lower level of the laws of the rabbis. So we must keep it, and in this situation, we have some ways to keep this law. One of them is, of course, to leave the field, not to work at all.
And some people may be able to do that, maybe if they have another job or
Yes,
maybe
that's
maybe
right.
some people can
Yes,
do that. But like you
that's
said,
right.
it's very hard if you're a full-time farmer you can't go on vacation for a year and make it, right? That's the big problem here.
That's right.
So what else
And
do they do?
If all the people, all the country keep it, so it's easier because the תחרות, the fight between the agricultures on the market.
Oh, okay, like the economy or the different, what's the word for that? Like the
It's fair because all of them live
right.
1 year.
Right.
But if it's one one man,
One farmer.
one farmer keep it, it's very hard.
Right. Because everybody else can jump in and take the market, and
That's right.
And then he loses.
That's right.
Everything.
So we have some solution for that because of the situation that is the Shmita today is just at the low level of the rabbi command. So we can or give all the field with the fruits to the court, the rabbinical court, and then they will take all the fruits and give them to the people.
So that's really neat because basically that's one of the commandments here is to give to the poor, and so if they can
something
take it
like
and give
that
it to
because
it, then
it's to live it. But here the court take responsibility and say, I will give it to everyone, and they will employ the farmer to treat the fruits for everyone and to collect it, to harvest it, and they will pay him for his work, and they will take money from the people for the fruits to pay the costs of the farmer.
Okay, so that way the farmer can stay afloat economically.
Right. That's right.
But the poorest people still get a lower cost.
All of the
thing
people,
or everybody.
not only the poor.
Okay.
All the people.
Okay, so then they get the lower cost thing because
Yes.
they're only paying for the cost, right?
That's
not
right.
the normal
That's
prices.
right. That's right. And it must be cheaper from the regular price. So this is second option to make the Shmita. The other option is to sell the field for 1 year to non-Jewish, non-Jew, and then the commandment, the laws are not commit on the field. Because it's of non-Jew.
Okay, so even though it could be in the land of Israel, if it's owned by a non-Jewish person, then...
That's right.
Could.
And then the farmer can continue and walk and sell the fruits because it's like it's not Shmita. Still, we have laws to reduce the work, to make, not to plant, to make just jobs, works that are not written on the verses. So, except the harvest, because the harvest we can harvest for eating. So, except the harvest, we don't make the work that written at the verses.
Okay. And I guess some people might look at that and say, well, wait a second, how come you're not doing the full commandment? It doesn't make sense. It seems like you should go all the way and do everything. But
That's
as
right.
you're talking, I realized, wow, it's a really big deal. And I think maybe a lot of times as Christians or people, we read it and we're thinking, this is, exactly what it is, but we don't necessarily think of it on a national level.
That's
and when
right.
it's the whole nation, it's a very different thing. Like you said, if one person does it and the rest of the people don't, or there's lots of different pieces to it, and it's a national thing. So it kind of puts a little bit different context here when we see that when you come into the land, all the nation together is fulfilling these laws, and you can see how it could work if everybody does it together. And we see later on that you're supposed to get a triple harvest the year before, and so that's supposed to help you get through the next couple of years, which, as much as we've been here helping out with the vineyards, we could understand that, because if you go and you prune the vineyard, you cut it way, way, way back until it's just like a couple buds. Like you have like a 2 or 3 foot, branch that would all bud out, but you cut it all the way back to just a couple inches. And then those 2 buds or 3 buds, however many it is, will grow out for the next year's harvest. If you don't prune it at all, then all those branches are going to grow out all the way up that long branch, and it would be a huge mess, and the airflow wouldn't get through, the vine wouldn't be able to produce very much fruit. Like it would be a really big problem. And not only for that year would you not get very much fruit or very good quality fruit, but even the next year when you go back and try to recover and trim that vine up, you're probably not going to get the same amount of fruit that next harvest, because you've had to cut it back in a different kind of way, and so it could be a really serious problem. So you actually need that 3-year, that triple harvest to just recover, and even if you could, so really there's quite a few miracles you kind of have to depend on in order to fulfill this commandment. And as you were talking too, I thought, would you say that it's because once all of Israel, all the Jewish people are in the land and they have their tribal territories, is it because that it's then when the triple harvest blessing and those things also come into play that enables them to fulfill the commandment? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, does the blessing happen before?
Okay.
You do that.
There are 2 different views on that law. The first is, like you said, miraculous way that the earth will give triple time the fruits, and you can stop working, it's okay. But I prefer the real view that says that if, like you said, if all the people keep it, so the competition,
that's it.
Is not between us, we can deal with this situation. And also, really in our wealthy world, we don't need to work all the 7 years. We can work 6 years and to put the money each year to put like teachers. We have in Israel, we have law that a teacher put every year one of 6 or 7 of his salary aside each month, and after 6 years he have at the 7th year a year of break.
Really?
Because it's very intensive job, and he need a year of vacation to refresh.
Yeah.
So
Is that's in the secular community as well, or just
yes.
the whole nation, all the
Yes.
teachers?
Yes,
Wow, get a whole year every 7 years.
he can learn and he can work another job, and so he can even teach. But he has the account that he can use for vacation.
Wow.
So really, you just need not to eat all your money every month. That's all. And you can it's like to open your eyes to not to be slave of the job. To know that you can be free. You can take a break and fulfill your dreams. Fulfill our national dreams.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good. Because I think, a lot of times, especially in Western culture, we tend to focus in on the making the money and the jobs and that kind of thing. And that's one thing I really appreciate about my dad is he made the decision because he was working at a very, very high-paced job, and he was making good money, but he didn't have time for anything else. It would just work all the time. So he, after 13 years of working for this job, he decided, you know what, I need to have time to learn the Bible and to be with my family. And really, that decision is what ended up bringing us here to Israel and being able to do what we're doing now. So really, really respect Dad for taking that step and saying, you know what, the American dream rat race lifestyle is really not it's not the dream that it's made out to be. There's actually a lot better, more biblical ways to do that. And we see that part of the biblical thing is to have times of rest, have the Shabbat, have the 7th year sabbatical, and also the next thing here is the 50-year jubilee, which is really special to us because it's called the Yovel, and our organization is called HaYovel, so it's really, really special for us. So maybe we can talk a little bit about this. What exactly is the Jubilee, the Yovel year? Okay.
The Yovel is like the Shmita, but more intensive. Because not only you stop work your field and leave the fruits to everyone, but also it's like it's like to return to the first point, to the 0 point. It's everyone accept back his lands if he sold them, because this is his heritage, and according to the verses, no one can sell his land forever. His heritage.
So it's a huge reset. Everything goes back to the beginning.
And not only the lands, but also the people. If someone, today we have no such thing because, again, everyone has what to eat. But if someone at the past sold himself to slave to someone, because he was starved and he has no what to eat, and he couldn't give his children food, so he could sell himself to slave. And it's always to sell himself, it's for 6 years. And after 6 years, he go free. But if he wants to stay in the house of his master, he can. He can, and then he will stay until the Jubilee. But never more than the Jubilee. Because at the Jubilee, it's like God says, I create the world at good situation with the equal options to everyone, with his land, with his life, his body. Even if you, the humankind, destroyed my order, once the 50 years, make reset. Go back to my order.
And do we know when the Jubilee year is? Do we know when the 50 years?
No, we
today?
can make a calculation, but it's not enough, because when the temple is destroyed and when the nation go to the exile, the Jubilee is stopped. And I said that the rabbis, the wise men, decide to continue the Shmita, but they did not decide to continue the Jubilee. So now we have no Jubilee, even not at the low level of the rabbi level, rabbinical level. So it's not about the count, it's about the we have to establish it when we will come back all the people to the land and separate the land to tribes.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not necessarily like you have to find the records of the number. You just, when everybody's back, then you start. Okay, it's 50 years, and we have the...
That's right.
Interesting.
Maybe we will start to count again. Maybe we will refresh the old counting, but we will have to decide when we will arrive this time.
Okay, so that's with the Jubilee, but with the Shmita year, so you do have, since you're still keeping that, you still have the cycle. So when is the next Shmita year?
The next year?
It's coming up this fall, right? With
That's right.
The fall festivals.
This year we count 5,781 years to the creation. Next year, that will begin at the close Rosh Hashanah. It's 5 months, more even 4.5 months. Then we will begin the next Shmita.
Wow, so it's coming up here very soon. And so what kind of preparations are being done leading up to that? So you said, different people are doing different levels of things for it. But I know today some of the team was out planting some vineyards. So there'll be a lot of planting going on before that happens? Or what all's happening in Israel right now in preparation for the Shemitah?
Okay, there is one deal of the farmers. They have to prepare, because it's very, very, like we said, it's very, very difficult here for them, and they have to decide which way they want to deal with the Shemitah, and to prepare, and to plant, and to prune before the year is begin, because you are allowed to do it before the year is begin. And everything you can do before, you have to do before. All the material that you put on the
fertilizer or
on the tree,
mulch or fertilizers or
yes, and to make whatever you can before. And like we said, to sell the land, the field, or to give the field to the court, that will treat it and or to leave it. But we as a private people, we have to, first of all, to help the farmers that want to keep the Shmita. Now we try to make such of a foundation that will buy the land from the farmer to 1 year and tell him, we will buy it and you will leave the land.
To send him on vacation.
Like the law of the God.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That would be amazing.
That's one
Solution.
we try to establish. And other solution, and of course to help him if he give his land to the court to buy the fruits from the court, to help. And of course in our private gardens.
Right.
Or the community.
Community. Yeah,
Community
gardens. And,
yes. To treat the gardens before, so we don't have to treat it on the Shmita.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. Well, it looks like we have run out of time, but thank you, Rabbi Yonadav. This has been a really great study. Like I said, I really enjoy studying into these things. And as Rabbi Yonadav said, this coming fall is when the Shemitah year begins. And so this harvest is the triple harvest that it talks about, the year before the Shemitah begins. And so we'll be, Lord willing, able to bring volunteers in and take in this really huge harvest. So it's going to be a really amazing year for us here at HaYovel. We definitely invite all of you guys to come. You can meet Rabbi Yonadav and come and harvest the vineyards before the Shemitah harvest this last year before that. And hopefully, Lord willing, we'll be blessed with a triple harvest, and it'll be amazing. So thank you guys so much for joining us today for our study, and may God bless you as you continue studying His Word and the Torah, and we really appreciate you guys joining us today. And if you have any feedback for us, you can send me an email at zach@hayovel.com. Would love to hear from you guys. Many blessings to you, and Shabbat Shalom from the beautiful, exceedingly good land of Israel.